I'm not really a factory farm guy, but this wool farm is crazy. And we're going to do a tutorial. Alright, so you've seen a million wool farms, but this one is a little bit unique. It produces 3,300 wool per hour, and it's 5 blocks wide by 7 blocks deep by 5 blocks tall. It has 24 sheep in the middle and runs on bone meal. So that's the one catch, I guess, is you do need a stable source of bone meal. But with 1.17 moss blocks around the corner, that shouldn't be a problem. Coming up pretty soon, you'll be able to crank out bone meal like crazy with... I've already seen a farm by Ilmango that looks pretty nuts. Alright, so this guy works on two principles. It's a combination of the two most common farms. You've probably seen both. The first is your tried and true basic observer grass block farm. When the grass regrows, the sheep gets his wool back. The observer detects it, triggers the dispenser, which shears the sheep, and rinse and repeat. The major bottleneck here, obviously, being that the grass takes a while to regrow. So once the sheep eats the grass, it can take quite a while. And pouring more sheep in here doesn't really help, because even if you have 20 sheep in here, none of them can eat until the grass regrows. So that's your major bottleneck. The second most common design is a piston feed tape design, which swaps out the dirt block with a grass block as soon as it's been eaten. So you just push new dirt in, push new grass in, and then once that's eaten, you do the same thing, push in a new grass block, and so on. Downside here, obviously, is that the dirt block still doesn't regrow immediately, so you typically have to build a pretty big feed tape. Cub Fans is the most popular on YouTube, I would say. And that produces about 1,000 wool per hour. You usually need a feed tape about that big, and it gets bulky after a while. And even being that big, it still only produces 1,000 wool per hour. Okay, so now the lesser known design is a tall grass farm. So in here, the sheep eat the tall grass rather than the grass block. There, we got it. Haha, thanks for the demonstration. So you see there, he ate the tall grass, not the grass block. So we still have grass down here, and that tall grass was regrown by bone meal. So that eliminates the grass block bottleneck. We don't need a piston feed tape or any of that business, because we can infinitely, well, as long as we have bone meal, we can infinitely regrow the tall grass on the top of this block, and then up here is where the shears are. But there's a new bottleneck with this design. With a piston feed tape design, you can cram as many sheep as you want in there without worry, because as soon as the grass block gets eaten, you just shift a new one in. But with the tall grass variant, if you have more than one sheep in here, there's a possibility that 2 of the sheep will try to eat the grass at the same time. And if that happens, the tall grass gets eaten, and the grass block below it gets eaten before the bone meal has a chance to come around. And I've tried everything to get around this, but it's not possible to spam that grass block with bone meal fast enough to get around that. Even if you have an observer clock hammering this thing with bone meal constantly, 2 sheep will still get through to that grass block below and turn it into a dirt block, and that breaks the machine. This is now dead. It's broken. There's no... bone meal won't do anything to the dirt block, so we either need to wait for it to regrow, which is another bottleneck we're trying to get around, or we can combine the two concepts. And here we have the kind of the beginning of a combination feed tape, tall grass, bone meal, doohickey. Okay, so we'll put a bunch of sheep in here, and I'll try to demonstrate. Okay, this guy's loaded up, and there we go. 2 went at the same time, so perfect. We have a dirt block now. And like I said, that is... well, it's not that way forever. If grass grows, it'll start up again. But what we can do is pivot, and now we have a grass block there. But we don't have any tall grass. You'll notice there's nothing here to trigger the dispenser. So in order to get that, we need to put another observer down here. This one for observing when the new grass has been placed. And then on top of that, we'll put a piece of redstone dust. And then right here, we're going to put a piston. And that piston is going to fire through the sheep. It won't disturb the sheep. They're cool with it. That piston will activate the observer that is used to detect the tall grass growing, which will activate the bone meal dispenser, which will put new tall grass on the top of our grass block. And you might... Actually, you know what? In order to make this more visible to you, I'm going to turn the sheep invisible. There we go. Okay, so they're standing on dirt right now. Bingo. Okay, so we have tall grass on top of the grass, and there it gets eaten. And again, it'll get eaten in a moment. There we go. And this usually goes for a while. It'll work as intended for a little while, but every now and then, they'll eat too quickly, and it'll break. And I'm just going to wait here till it breaks. There we go. Bingo. It's broken. And we're back on our feet. So there's no bottleneck at all with this design. The grass regrows immediately after being eaten, and in the rare event that they get through to the grass block below, we have a way of replacing it. And because it happens so infrequently, we need a much, much smaller piston feed tape. This only has, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions on it. And then everything else that you see around here is just for regrowth, just to help ensure that the dirt block regrows. You might even see right here while we're doing this that the dirt makes it all the way around without regrowing. But if you cram a bunch of grass blocks in this pattern around it, that increases the likelihood that it's going to regrow. I'll go under here and show you. This is, there's a dirt block right there. And this guy, because of all the grass crammed around it, that guy should regrow before it gets back to the beginning. Yeah, so because there is no bottleneck, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And the result is 3,300 wool per hour. Okay, so how do you build it? Well, there's a world download in the description. Just kidding. We're going to do a real tutorial. Everything you need is in this box, right there at the top, and any random construction block of your choice. And we'll start with a free-floating block. I don't know how high up you need to go. You can just look here. That's the amount of clearance you need below it to fit a chest. It doesn't have to be all the way down here. Obviously, it could be up there. And we're going to start with a powered rail on top, a dispenser. This uses all dispensers, no droppers. A dispenser, a repeater, an observer in that direction, a dispenser on top of that. Put your grass block in front of the dispenser, and a piston to the left of the dispenser. And I know these are construction blocks right there, but we're going to use grass because we need as much grass as we can possibly fit on this thing. So grass there, redstone there, and underneath the piston, we need a redstone torch. And underneath the piston, a redstone torch. And then a piston here. That's one block out and turned toward the starting grass block. And then we will put in our piston feed tape grass blocks in this configuration. We're going to go 3 out, 1 over, and then 3 out again with 1 additional block right here. And this is our piston feed tape. And then for the pistons that push the feed tape, we'll put a piston there, and 1 right there. And we've already got that one there, and then we'll wire these up so that they are smart. So we'll put a grass block there and there. Redstone torch there with a redstone dust right there. And same thing on this side. Grass there and there. With a redstone dot. With redstone dust there and a torch there. So if we activate this guy, we'll just force activate it. There we have it. That's our piston feed tape done. And now we'll do the part that I already showed you, which is piston there. And then this we will replace with an observer. And then any block... Actually, we're going to go with a grass block because, remember, anywhere that can be grass, we want to be grass because that helps increase the likelihood that the dirt block will turn back into a grass block before it gets all the way around. Okay, so now we need some way for that piston to know that that block has turned into dirt so that it can activate our piston feed tape. And we're already halfway there. We have this observer down here pointed at the grass block, and it will detect when it turns into dirt, powering this piece of redstone dust. And if we put a hopper right here, that redstone dust will momentarily lock this hopper, which can be detected by an observer. And then we're going to turn that observer toward the piston here and place another piece of grass there, and that'll carry the signal around to our piston. And the reason we're not doing another observer right here, the reason we're not just doing observer, observer like that, is the grass below it will die. That'll turn into a dirt block because light can't get through there. But if it's a hopper, the light can get through. So if we have a dirt block right there, it'll still grow back into grass. And now we'll use this shovel to test it. We're going to turn that grass block into a path block to give the observer something to detect, and that should send our signal around, activating the piston feed tape. And there we go. Works as intended. And we're almost done with this thing. We're just going to go underneath our main grass block here and put a hopper with a rail on top of it, and another hopper below, and a minecart on top. Hopper minecart on top, and that's our collection system. And then to feed the dispenser that dispenses bone meal, we're going to put a hopper into the dispenser. Hopper like that, and then two on top of it. And then we're going to put a hopper on top of the dispenser that holds our shears. And then we're going to put a chest here and a chest here. And that's the nuts and bolts. This is the whole thing. Everything else that you see over there is just the grass that helps reseed the piston feed tape as it goes around. So each one of these grass blocks is within range so that the grass on it can spread down to the piston feed tape and help ensure that the dirt turns back into grass before it gets all the way around. And for that part, I'm going to go kind of slow because placement is critical here. Every single block is optimized to be in the exact right spot. So there's not a way that I know of that you can cram more dirt into this area without that will actually spread. So, I mean, there are other places you could put dirt, but it won't spread the piston feed tape, so there's no use having it there. All right, we're going to start by running along the bottom here. And then again over here, we're going to put one there. And then along the bottom here as well. And then 2 blocks up from that, we're going to bring this around, skip a block, bring this across, skip a block, and bring this across. And finish there. And then right next to where the sheep are going to go, we're going to do a grass block, a piece of glass, grass block, and then on the other side we're going to do the opposite. Glass first, then grass, and then we're going to bring this guy out like that and come across the top like this. And then we'll continue this pattern around, so we're going to put one there, skip a block, bring this across, put one in the middle like that, skip a block there, and bring this one across. And behind here, we're going to put one here and one here. And then we're going to put one next to the piston, go up 2, and there we go. And for the middle, we're going to go down on the bottom, and we're going to put one right here. So that hole we had in the middle now has a block recessed. We're going to put a torch inside it, so there's a light source in there. Grass block on top, torch on top of that, grass block on top of that. Now we're going to swing around to the front and put one there, and then right there in the middle. So we've kind of got this crisscross pattern that allows the grass to be open on the top, and then in the middle, final row, we're going to go on top of the piston and then just bring this all the way around. Like that. And that should be it. Last step is to spam all of this with torches. I'm not going to do that or show you where they go. You just spam it with torches. Every open block gets a torch. But I will go down inside here and show you where it is safe to put a torch on the inside. We're going to go across the back row. And then there's the piston just to orient you. We're going to put a torch there. And then 2 there. And then we'll go to the other side and do a torch to our right. And then if we peek through the hopper, and click there. You can't really see that it got placed, but there's a torch on the glass block there, and that'll light up the other side. Oh, and one more really important piece that we forgot is a block needs to go behind this observer, and redstone dust right there. And last but not least, we are going to put a torch right here. That just makes sure that the grass that we get is the short grass, short tall grass, not the 2 block tall grass, but the 1 block tall grass. And then we're going to prime this thing and load it with sheep. And we prime it by turning this into a path block. And there we go. We're ready for sheep. So we'll just load 24 sheep into here. Alright, that's 24 sheep, and then we're going to cap it off with another piece of grass block, because believe it or not, that grass block all the way down there can see this one, and the grass will spread from here down to that block, and its neighbor on both sides. And there you have it, guys. The last thing I want to show you is that this design is tileable. You can snug them right up against each other in both directions, so side by side, front and back. So you can see I've got 6 of them here. Just keep in mind, though, that this is crazy on lag. There's 24 sheep in there. I don't think I would build more than 1 on a server, probably. I guess it depends on your server. On my machine, 6 of these work in single player just fine. If you have a fast enough machine, you're probably fine. I'm doing 6, and it works fine for me. But with 6 of them like this, it produces an absurd number of wool. You need the sorting system that I've got below it here, that I'll cover in another video. Not today, but this is a 4x hopper speed sorting system. So we've got sorters on both sides of this dropper line. We're going 2x on this side, 2x on this side, and sorting everything down into a crazy room down here that has all 16 colors. And we just go over to the color that we want. They're available for us right there. And then if we want full shulkers of it, we can hit Q for as many shulkers as we want, and those disappear into a hopper that's hidden in the floor, and then we have some shulkers that'll be dispensed right here in a couple minutes. I've covered this actually in my, there you go, shulkers. I covered this in another video. I'll put a card at the top. This was originally designed for a piglin bartering system, and I've just adapted it here for this crazy factory wool farm. If you want a tutorial on this, watch the piglin bartering video. I'll be doing a tutorial on that later. But for now, you can see a showcase of it by clicking the card at the top of the screen. Look at that magma cube. Okay. All right. Well, that's a great place to end it. Thanks for watching. If you like this and you want to see more like it, hit subscribe to stay up to date. I'll be releasing some more videos soon, one of which is a tutorial on this crazy beast. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.